Hi, I'm Andy Boyle. Welcome to RedEye's Funny Talk, where we talk to Chicago area comedians about Chicago area comedic goings-on. With us this week, we have Sean Flannery. Thanks for being here, Sean.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that son of a bitch gets in an accident the way he's driving. So imagine those people in 77 North who yell, I hope he gets in an accident, and then they just see me go off a bridge and disappear. Jesus, Lord, I didn't mean for you to erase him off the face of the earth. I just kind of wanted his rates to go up.
So you do a show at the Lincoln Lodge called The Blackout Diaries.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about that show and how you got started doing it.
Sure. The Blackout Diaries is a comedy show where stand-up comics plus everyday Chicagoans tell true drinking stories. And then with photos from the events, and then after each story, the audience can ask them questions on the stories. Like, did you get arrested? Did you ever see her again? So on and so forth. And I got the idea because I do a separate one-man show about all these times I nearly died. And after each show, people were coming up to me and telling me their own, a lot of my stories were drinking stories, they were telling me their own drinking stories. And I was like, man, these stories are amazing. And I was like, well, it would be great if there was a show where these people could tell their drinking stories. So that was sort of where I got the idea, was just hearing all these amazing drinking stories and wanted to bring that to the stage.
And you have not just stand-up comedians, but also just regular people.
Yeah, we have, this upcoming week, we have a postal I don't know when this will air, but we have a postal worker who got in a fight with the Albanian mob while drunk on a cruise. And we also have a reporter, actually, in LA who's visiting and going to do it. But we have steel workers, cops, we've had a priest, we've had housewives, the whole gamut of Chicagoans telling stories. We even had a CEO, a rodeo clown, really weird industries, and just people with amazing stories come and tell them.
Very cool. And so your one-man show, tell us a little bit about that.
That is called Never Been to Paris, which is every Thursdays at the Comedy Bar, starting in 2014. And what that is, that's about the last 10 times I nearly killed myself by accident with photos from the events.
Just the last 10 times?
Just the last 10 times. For example, I electrocuted myself unconscious in a job interview once. I licked a battery. I thought it was a 9-volt. It was an 85-volt garage door opener battery. Stories like that. Your average run-of-the-mill. Should have been dead stories. And that's every Thursdays. And that also is with photos from the events. I like to try and tell true, funny stories and give the audience more of a perspective. I like how when you hear a great story at a bar, people often take out their phone and show you no, look, this is the guy who ran into the pole or something like that. And I like to try and bring that to the stage with photos and videos and voicemails and so on.
Very cool. Yeah. So now we're going to ask you 5 questions that are somewhat Chicago-centric.
Okay.
Since you have such a broad knowledge of the subject. First off, if you could make Rahm Emanuel wear some kind of hat for a day, what kind of hat would it be?
Well, let's see. I think the standard answer would probably be the Napoleon hat or something like that, since he's a bit of a dictator. But I think what I would say is I would want him to be forced to wear a hat that would sort of invalidate his tough guy persona that he tries to project. So I would say one of those hats that women wear to the Kentucky Derby, those huge hats with flowers.
A big derby hat, yeah.
Yes, a big derby hat with pastels, and I think that would just be harder to go into a meeting with the teachers union and say, screw you, you're going to do it my way if that thing is flopping up and down. So
all right.
That's what I would say.
Second question. You have to drink only one liquid besides water for the rest of your life. What would it be and why?
Well, that one's easy, beer. It would be beer. I think when you're asked to commit to one liquid, you have to look at it more not what is my favorite liquid, but what liquid can I least afford to cut out of my diet and habits. Okay. So for me, that comes down to coffee or beer. I need coffee every morning, I need beer every night. But I would rather cut I would rather cut that out of my life and be foggy-headed in the morning and maybe lose my day job than cut beer out of my life, because without beer, I probably can't tolerate any of my friends or my family. I love my friends, but they're the kind of people who argue about seriously when they're drunk how am I going to fight a kangaroo? And I just can't handle those people, I think. Like, I would have to start over if I didn't have beer. So it's got to be beer.
That makes sense. All right, third question. If you had to pick one neighborhood to make your last stand against the zombie apocalypse, which would it be and why?
I think that one would have to be Russian division. I think the way you need to look at it there is the people around you are your future enemies when they become zombies. So I would like the Viagra Triangle, like with old dudes, and they maybe can't even get out of their Mercedes after they've turned into a zombie, and all the women have heels that they can't run in. There's a lot of horse-drawn carriages. I think that could be an asset maybe somehow, like I could ride a horse out of there or something like that. So I think I would definitely say the Viagra Triangle.
Makes sense to me. Fourth question. If you could invent an official parade that would march down Michigan Avenue once a year, what would it be and what would you name it?
That's a tough one. Some people might want to do like a political statement or something that's important to them. I think I would try and bring a little bit more happiness into the world. And what I would say is every day when the Cubs are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, we do a parade up and down Michigan Avenue. And that will sound like I'm making fun of them, which is not the case. I didn't grow up watching the Cubs, but coming from Cleveland and being a Browns fan, I can relate to being dedicated to this team that every year they tell you wait till next year. And that sucks, because all we have is opening day. We're really hopeful, and then that's gone, and we just suck, and we're mathematically eliminated at the midpoint. And it'd be nice to have like that sort of holiday on the horizon that you can look forward to. Like, at least we'll have a good time on elimination day at the parade.
Sounds good. Just a big drunken bacchanal.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last question. You get free booze for life, except it's only in Wrigleyville bars during Cubs games. How often do you go out?
I would be at more Cubs games than probably their manager. I would still go to every single game. I think the way your dad maybe talked about wasting food, like, hey, there's kids in Ethiopia starving, that's the way I talk about a paid beer. That you just don't let a paid beer. There's people in Kansas City not drunk right now, and you can get drunk off that. So I would go every single time. And there's cool bars in Wrigleyville. I would probably go to one of the cool ones. I don't know if I can name things here. I would go to probably Nicey Lounge, which is a cool bar there, and I would drink, and they would probably grow to hate me because I'm there every time drinking for free. And then I think what would happen is they would plot to kill me. And I think this is actually like every Irishman's fantasy. You know how like the Greeks had the concept of the perfect death, and like it would be dying in battle, and like the best soldier and the enemy kills you. We have this fantasy where we've tricked a bar into free drinks, and we drink them so much under the table that they plot to kill us, but we're such drunks that like their poisons don't work, and like they try and shoot us, but we just keep drinking. And then I don't know how they would, maybe eventually like they put like a really spicy pepper into a non-alcoholic beer and slip it to me, and that's how I die. I'm not really sure how the mechanics would go down, but I think that's what I would be there every single game at a cool bar until they kill me.
Thanks for checking out this week's Funny Talk. We've had Sean Flannery. I'm Andy Boyle. Check us out next week when we have another awesome Chicago area comic.